Lloyd, what do you think the Suez Canal has to do with succession planning?
Well, Kendall, interesting question. I'm not sure where that came from, but I do think that is a reflection of current events. And actually, I think it relates well to Dr. Merlot's question that that he just answered, that I read, and that
For the audience, what was that question?
it was, how do I motivate myself to deal with the crap I have to endure as the leader of my family business? And I think your question and the question presented to Dr. Merlot relate in this manner, in that oftentimes the petty crap becomes so overwhelming that the succession effort just runs aground. And its correlation, its comparison to the Suez Canal is also appropriate because of the billions of dollars of commerce that run through the Suez Canal on a daily basis. That is, all those people that are dependent upon the Suez Canal for their jobs, boats, for their jobs and the raw materials and all that kind of stuff that's flowing through there. And when that canal gets blocked, we just begin to appreciate how important it is. And by the same token, if by virtue of being overwhelmed by the petty crap associated with succession planning, by the minutia brought to you by attorneys, accountants, that make your face hurt, it's easy just to say, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And although that may provide you immediate relief, just sort of pull your hand out of the garbage disposal, it does create a stop, a block, an impediment to a very, very important process in which a lot of people are dependent. Because although it seems like relief not to be thinking about succession planning, it is actually creating an immense problem that's going to impact your family, because you can kick this can down the road. It's sort of like kicking a beer can today that turns into a drum of chains in 20 years. I mean, try kicking a chain of a drum filled with chains. I mean, from 10,000 feet, it might look like a beer can, but if you're a succession planner and you're 75 to 80 years old and you want miracles performed, I mean, there's no moving that drum of chains, where you can kick that beer can very easily today. And the impact that has on your family, the impact that has on your greater family of employees, managers, vendors, it's profound, profound. So we need the tugboats. By the way, I'm one of them. I'm a tugboat. And what I do oftentimes is grab a hold of that big ship, grab a hold of the business owner and say, come on, let's back up a little bit. Let's go back up. Let's get out of the mud. Let's get back out here into the open water. Let's take a deep breath, and let's understand that we need to eat this elephant one bite at a time. And that if we just deal with what's in front of us, if we stay engaged, then we will make it through this canal. We will definitely be better tomorrow than we are today. And each day they're, moving forward, because we continue to stay engaged in those matrix of issues that impact succession success. It impacts the value of the business. So yes, there's a very good correlation between that boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal. Thank goodness it's been removed. And a succession plan that has run aground, and because the business owner has been overwhelmed with the petty crap, as Dr. Merlot calls it, that a business owner has to endure. Well, succession planning has its price, but succession is worth the price. Just back up, get in deep water, take a deep breath, steer down the middle. Don't focus on the hazards on each side, and listen and deal with things that are right in front of you, and don't become so discouraged about what's so far out there in the future that it really runs you aground today. Hope that helped.
Definitely. And I just heard you say or refer to succession planning has a price. What would be your perspective of succession planning as an investment?
Good question. I often encounter a comment that, boy, this is expensive. And I would not deny that when you add the price of leadership of a succession planner, the input of the accounting, the input of the tax, the input of the legal, the management development, the successor development. I mean, all of that, when you add it up, can be a significant number. But I think succession planning requires the perspective of this is an investment, not an expense. This is a soft cost investment. It's not like building another building, buying more equipment, hard cost, which depreciates. I can assure you that this capital investment into the future of a business, into the continued success through the next generation, will appreciate. Sometimes it's hard to rationalize that, hey, I've got to write these checks for this professional guidance. And if you call it an expense, it only accentuates it. It's an investment. And if you can't handle the investment now, that's okay. But don't call it an expense and say it's too expensive, because it's not too expensive to put a roof on your house. It's not too expensive to have insurance for your car. Succession planning is an investment. And if you have a vision for the continuation of that business and the impact it has on your family, your employees, and your community, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You're going to have to invest in it. Does that help you, Kendall?
Definitely. And one more question. With the perspective of succession planning being an investment, and using the analogy you used for a home, generally the thought process, if you do an upgrade in a home, it builds value in the home. So can that be applied to the business with succession planning?
Yeah, you stole one of our bylines, Kendall. Succession planning builds and protects value. Yes, I would say that this is definitely an upgrade. And I would like to think that the investment in succession planning will return manyfold. I know that when you're writing checks, it's sometimes difficult to justify, well, am I going to get immediate return on this? No, succession planning is a strategic investment. It's a long-term investment. And unfortunately, it's an investment that most of our clients will never personally realize a benefit from. What they will realize is the satisfaction and peace of mind that this investment will perpetuate something that their hands developed, their heart built, that their sweat molded and shaped. They'll have that peace of mind. But unfortunately, succession planning is sometimes a selfless investment, most of the time a selfless investment, other than the peace of mind you get that what you started, what you developed, what you've refined, what you've invited people to contribute their lives to is going to continue to be successful and will continue to grow and be vibrant, just as a oak tree you plant in the front yard.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lloyd, giving your perspective on how the Suez Canal could be related to succession planning and how succession planning builds value.
Well, my pleasure, Kendall. And if you run into Dr. Merlot, be sure and share with him those comments I gave you earlier. And hopefully that will make him angry enough to call me, and then I can get him back to work. I would appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Do you have a question you want answered by an expert? Feel free to reach out directly to Dr. Merlot or Lloyd Rawls at the email addresses listed on the screen. Continue listening to the series now or come back later for more. Each topic featured may want you to learn something new.